Yeah, there's a reason. You'll get it in a second. Cindy Dole, Home Wizards. We love to have fun with our music, don't we, Seth? That's what we do. Yeah, okay. Anyway, thanks for joining me on the ride this Saturday. We're here every Saturday 2 to 4 to help rock your world, to help wherever you live, make it feel better and just look better and have more fun in the process. So thanks for hanging out. So, change begins at home, and it's a philosophy that I believe in, and so do my guests here who are sisters, who use the approach that I'm sure you're aware of in terms of Feng Shui, but we're going to learn a little bit more about it. But it's really kind of beyond what you've heard in terms of the Chinese philosophy, to kind of combining it with life coaching, getting rid of clutter, decorating, and getting into the whole new world of having apps. So that's what we're going to talk about right now. We have Laura Forbes, Carlin, and Alison Forbes, the sisters.
Hi.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you for having us.
You got it. So you both are trained in Feng Shui.
Yes.
Yeah?
That's right. We studied at the Western School of Feng Shui down in San Diego, and I've been practicing for about 12 years, and Laura,
About
I think a little bit
15.
longer. Yeah.
Well, what made you choose to study Feng Shui?
Originally I had a Feng Shui practitioner come to my house because I was having a hard time sleeping. And when she started talking, I just felt that everything she said was so familiar and made so much sense. And I started reading a lot of Feng Shui books and actually noticed my teacher's name in her school, but it still felt a little out there for me. And then a couple years down the road, when I was studying spiritual psychology, I realized that I could really combine my love for the home and the spiritual psychology, because essentially Feng Shui in many ways is counseling people through their homes. Mm-hmm. It's using your home as just one more vehicle for self-transformation.
So why were you unable to sleep, and how did the Feng Shui change it?
Bed position was a big one, which is one of the things in Feng Shui is that you want to make sure that your bed, your sofa, your desk are in what we call the power position or the command position. And that means that you have a view of the door so that you can see whoever is entering the room. And it's just human nature that we don't relax fully if we can't see who's coming up behind us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's the great thing about Feng Shui is there are so many kind of very simple, common sense things that you can do to start changing your home and life right away.
Mm-hmm. Well, we want to talk about that. So Feng Shui, I mean, it's been around for thousands of years, right?
Yes, we should.
No,
back up. It's
Yeah.
the 4,000, for those who don't know, it's the 4,000-year-old Chinese art of arranging your home to enhance your life. And really,
to have balance, basically,
to
right?
have balance, to create positive energy in your home. And really the heart of it is just acknowledging our homes are connected to our well-being. What we put in our homes, how we decorate, how we arrange them, that's influencing all aspects of our lives and how we feel on a daily basis.
And if we believe this enough and work at it enough, it could really stretch out and impact our relationships, not only with ourselves, but with others that we love, and with our job, right, and success, and all that.
Well, we always like to say that with Feng Shui, you can create a dream home. And when we talk about a dream home, we don't necessarily mean, where it is, how big it is, what it looks like. We just mean that a home that reflects and supports your dreams, whatever those are. So if your goal is to be in a loving relationship, we want to create a loving home that reflects and supports you in achieving that goal.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And we all have heard, I'm sure, that when you think of a Feng Shui home, especially people who are just so, very serious about it. I mean, some people buy homes only when it has the Feng Shui layout, right? In terms of where the door sits and the stairway and all. I mean, you can get really complicated. But just from a very simple point of view, you just want us to think of, I guess, a positive flow and de-stressing. Would you say that's kind of a good way to describe it?
That's definitely an important part of it. And,
Yeah.
and really what we like to say is that, first of all, we believe you can create good Feng Shui in any space. And you would be practicing perfect Feng Shui if you lived with what you loved. If you loved everything in your home, you'd have perfect Feng Shui. So we're big believers that you have to like the changes that we suggest. You have to like the enhancements we suggest. And if you don't, we need to find one that you do like, because to us, that's the heart of it.
Well, that's kind of a key to design, because so many of us, we get stuck and we hold on to these things that we've inherited, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's connected to some bad feeling, and then we wonder, well, why are we feeling depressed in this house?
Well, we believe that objects in our home are really speaking to us. So if you check in with everything in your home and imagine it has a voice, you want to say, what is this saying to me? And something very mundane like a vase may have a story behind it. Perhaps you bought it on a really bad day, and every time you look at that vase, you're thinking of that bad day. So it may be a beautiful vase, but it could also be bringing down your energy. And if that's the case, we want to replace it with something that you love that's going to inspire you and uplift you when you look at it.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. So we don't really have to be hardcore Feng Shui practitioners to buy into this and to practice some of it, right? And we can just kind of understand the very simple nature of it. And I mean, it makes sense to me in terms of the whole clutter part, right? And the holding on to the past that may not be helping you move forward to the future.
Absolutely.
That I totally buy into.
Absolutely. There's so many common sense and simple practices. And usually when we suggest things to clients, 9 times out of 10, they say, I was thinking about that, or that didn't feel right, or this makes so much sense. And clutter clearing, as you mentioned, is a big one. Just clutter just simply zaps our time and energy. It keeps us in the past. So getting rid of things that are no longer a reflection of who you are just opens up space. And then you want to bring in things that do reflect who you are and what your goals are. Another Feng Shui thing, I know we spent a lot of time today talking about outdoor spaces. So a big thing you can do is work on the front entrance of your home. And front entrances in Feng Shui are where most of the energy enters your home. It's called the mouth of qi. And so you want to make your front entrance as welcoming as possible. You want it well lit. You want it clear of debris. You maybe have 2 planters by the front door. You really want to welcome yourself home. You want to greet your guests.
The Feng Shui teacher we studied with used to say that you want your entrance to entrance. And so when you're not only welcoming your guests and yourself home, but you're welcoming the energy into your home.
Boy, it makes so much sense, really. It's just basic design principles in so many ways.
A lot of it is.
Balance and all of that. And you have clients, obviously, right?
Yes.
Do people call you and say, I want my home to be Feng Shui? Are they specific like that? Are they just saying, I don't know what I want. I just know I'm not happy where I live?
We get a little bit of everything. Sometimes people call us with very specific goals. For example, they want to improve their finances and they heard that somehow Feng Shui may help. Or sometimes it's exactly what you said. Something just doesn't feel right. And they may have a beautifully designed space, but they're just not comfortable, or something's off. And so either way, we come in and we help clients, and it can be as simple as rearranging some furniture. It can just be, again, kind of going through the objects in our home and start talking about what these objects are saying to you and how they're speaking to you and how they may be influencing you on a daily basis. It really just depends, but we are amazed that when we make simple changes in the home, we start to see changes in their lives. So,
and when you say objects speaking to you, you don't mean like they're hearing voices. But I know what you mean.
Yes.
You mean
that would be another Feng Shui problem,
and that's another show. But yeah, exactly. But I do think you mean the memories, right? Because everything in your home can spark a memory or a feeling, right? Whether it's photos, whether it's tchotchkes,
Yep,
heck,
absolutely.
even T-shirts.
Even the most mundane objects can elicit some kind of a feeling or emotion.
Right. And that gets to the foundation of why a lot of these organization experts are needed, because we can't let go of those emotions. So there's a real crossover between design and organization or clutter issues.
Absolutely. And the other thing is not only that everything is affecting our energy one way or the other, but also that everything is connected. So it's not as simple as just whether we get a little ding on our energy positively or negatively, but how that ripples out. So for example, if you are living in a cluttered space and you wake up just automatically feeling overwhelmed, not good about yourself, that's the energy that you carry out into the world. If you have a pattern where every day you can't find your car keys, so you are late bringing the kids to school, so you snap at the kids or snap at your spouse, and then that's affecting your relationships. So it's really the idea that everything is connected.
And that's where the life coaching comes in, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And after the fact, when you've helped some of these clients, you go back and see what happened and see how their lives have changed in their homes.
They keep in touch with us.
Yeah.
I mean, we've actually even been invited to weddings of clients. We've had clients who call us because they're looking to change their relationship or looking for love. And we've been to weddings where Feng Shui was toasted at the rehearsal dinner.
Really?
Yeah, it's quite lovely.
And new jobs are found, or something positively happens with wealth, or someone gets pregnant, and sometimes it is these specific goals, and other times it's more you just gave me a whole new way of looking at my home and my life, or a whole new feeling.
Mixing it up, giving us some positive hope and positive thinking,
Yes.
to kind of.
It's really setting intentions in your home. I mean, I think so many people are familiar now with writing affirmations or setting intentions. And what we really like to do is create an intentional home. So everything in our home becomes a big visual affirmation of whatever it is we're trying to achieve in our lives.
And are men asking for this from you as often as women?
They do.
It's interesting.
I mean, because it's a kind of a touchy-feely thing. But guys, hey, let's give it up to the guys. They have feelings.
They have feelings, and oftentimes it's also the money, because the guys here, have various businesses, Feng Shui. And so a lot of times we get the men through, the wealth and wanting to improve offices or home offices.
Or sometimes the wife will call us and have us do the consultation, and the man will kind of be sitting in the corner, very skeptical, kind of doubting everything we do. But again, so much of it is common sense that when we start working with them, they're just like, oh, I get it.
Yeah, well, you've got me.
It feels good.
When we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more. And speaking of men and women and relationships, this whole Feng Shui for love with the augmented reality iPhone app that these sisters have come up with. And one of their clients, I guess they had in their bathroom, a shelf unit that was built by an ex-boyfriend.
That's right.
And it was a bad relationship, and she still had it in the bathroom.
And every time she looked at it, she'd be thinking
but
about
she
that
got rid of it
relationship.
thanks to these sisters. More of that coming up next. Cindy Dole, Home Wizards, and the fun continues after this. Well, don't cry, because we're going to help you keep that love. Cindy Dole here, and no, I'm not having a love show all of a sudden. But this is Home Wizards, where we talk about ways to enjoy the spaces you call home, inside and outside, and that just might mean Feng Shui. At least that's according to the sisters here who have this great website, inspiredeverydayliving.com. And Laura Forbes, Carlin, and Alison Forbes together have studied Feng Shui. So thanks for being here again.
Thank you for
And now
having
that you've kind of set the groundwork for us to understand a little bit more about how this positive change in our homes, in our spaces, can really affect everything, right? From our sleeping to how we're succeeding. But let's talk about the whole love connection. And you've had some clients. I was looking at some of the videos on your website. Boy, these people have had some... Well, they've been kind of stuck, right? I mean, what about this one woman that you visited her home and she had this poster? And describe what that poster was. It looked kind of nasty. It was a man almost choking a woman or something. It was a movie poster or something.
It was a movie poster for a Hitchcock movie. And so she had it in her entryway, but it was a large poster. I think it was about 4 feet tall. It was right in her entryway, and it was an image of a man grabbing a woman by the neck.
Yeah.
And so to come home, I mean, we were just talking about creating an entrancing front entryway. It was actually really the opposite. It was almost a little scary and quite threatening. And it certainly was not reflecting her goal to be in a happy, warm, positive relationship. In fact, it was doing quite the opposite. So we took that poster down and we replaced it with something that made her feel good when she came home. That was going to be much more, inspirational and uplifting.
But here she was, a movie collector, or I think the poster had her name on it.
It had her name in
so
it, exactly.
It made
So
sense.
On one level, it made sense. And there was another poster in the home that was actually a Lolita movie poster.
Right.
But that ended up being a metaphor because she had no problem of finding relationships, but it was the wrong relationship, more Lolita-type relationships. And so we also removed that poster.
Good.
And put a pair of art paintings up that were just more in alignment with what she was looking for.
And then you also talk about how people who are single, looking for love, in their homes, they make the mistake of having portraits of single people.
We see this all the time.
I was one of those people.
Right, Laura, actually, when she first studied Feng Shui and she was single when she first started studying, realized you said you had 6 or 7
Yes,
images.
of what we call single women art, which is images of women depicted alone, often looking depressed.
Oh my gosh.
When it's pointed out to you, you think, well, how can I have this? But on the one hand, it makes sense because our homes really are a reflection of who we are. So unconsciously, we end up putting up, reflecting our inner state. So the idea is, though, is you want to step back, take a look at that, and then think, okay, where do I want to be? What are my goals now? So then you replace that art for what you're looking for.
So don't all of a sudden have like this phony boyfriend or phony family portrait there. It doesn't exist. But just have flowers or garden or something else.
Something that's just romantic or something that makes you think of love in whatever form that is. Yeah.
And in terms of the little the seating area in the kitchen, I, as you were again in this video on your website showing what you do for clients, I was interested to hear that you didn't want us to, if you're a single person, to have a table with to have 3 chairs. You wanted to have 2 chairs. Was that right?
Right, that's right.
Why
Really,
is
you
that?
want to create an environment for 2 people. And, it goes the other way, too. Frequently we'll see when someone's single that they create a space for 1 person. So they might just have 1 chair at the table. And if your intention is to be in a relationship, you want to create a home that's going to support that goal. So you want to make space for that partner by adding a second second chair. The third chair just comes in as sometimes when we're in relationships, there's that third person that maybe we don't want, hanging out around our relationship. So really it's just be creating a space for two, a romantic, cozy little breakfast nook in that case.
Okay.
And we see it a lot in the bedroom when someone who is single will set up the bedroom for one person. And
So
again, on the one hand,
one side table, one bedside lamp.
right. Or sometimes the bed is pushed up against the wall, so really only one person can enter the bed comfortably. And again, on the one hand, it makes sense if you're living alone, but really if you're looking for a relationship, you want to bring in that other bedside table and that other lamp. You want to move the bed so that two people can get in comfortably and set the intention that you're attracting a new partner.
You know, we recently did some love tips on someone's blog, and someone wrote in a comment that said that they had had a twin-size mattress for years. And the day that they went out and bought a queen-size mattress, this day she met her husband. And I just thought that was a great story because really what she was doing was creating space for that future partner. And then that's the day that she met him.
So really, it's almost like you're getting psyched up that this is going to be your future. You are telling yourself it's going to happen.
Yes, it's like creating a big intention in your environment, setting that intention and being very clear about it.
Well, let's walk people through some of the spaces because I know you have this app. And what is the app called?
It's Feng Shui for Love with augmented reality.
A long name, but a great name. And how do we get this app, by the way?
You can go to our website, inspiredeverydayliving.com, and learn about it, or you can go straight to the iTunes store and you can purchase it there.
Okay. And so the principle behind this app, and as we were talking about, just kind of dealing with harmony and love and feng shui in our home. In terms of relationships, let's talk about some of the spaces where we blow it. The bedroom is the number one space, right?
Yes.
And that's both if we're single or perhaps if we're in a committed relationship and something may not be gelling because we're doing something wrong with decor. Is that right?
Yes. You know, what happens with bedrooms is that bedrooms are really only supposed to serve two purposes, which is rest and romance. And these days, just like we are multitasking, our bedrooms are multitasking. They serve as exercise rooms, as, media rooms, home offices. And ideally, you want to get all of that stuff out of the bedroom and go back to those two purposes, sleep and romance.
So, yep, get the TV out of the bedroom. That's number one.
Not everyone likes to hear that, but
I
televisions really do take the place of intimacy.
And the exercise equipment or anything in there.
Or anything. And we
Yeah.
had, one client I remember who had an instant change too because she had her home office and her career was definitely taking the place of a relationship. And she really decided it was time for a relationship, moved the home office into the living room, and, soon after had a relationship.
What
So.
about pets? Pets in our bedroom.
They in Feng Shui, they do actually say don't put the pet in the bed. I had a dog for many years and I've broken that rule many times. But pets actually are good Feng Shui. Healthy, happy pets are bringing great energy to your space. So
Good.
I'm not as concerned about that.
All right, the bathroom. And we get back to this client who had the old shelf unit that a terrible former boyfriend had made. Boom, she got rid of that. But what else should we have in the bathroom if we are single trying to attract a relationship? So we don't look too girly or too guy, but we have just kind of unisex, I guess.
Yeah, you're bringing up a good point, which is finding that balance between masculine and feminine. Oftentimes we'll go to someone's home and there's the little girl's room, which is just stuffed animals on the bed or dolls on the bed or overly feminine. And then there's the male equivalent where it's the bachelor pad and there's the mattress on the floor, the futon. And, you really don't want either. You want grown-up rooms that are a balance between masculine and feminine.
And in Feng Shui, there's something that we go into in the app, which is there are 9 different areas in your home that relate to 9 different areas of your life. So there is a love and marriage area in everybody's home. And one of the great things about this app is that it helps you locate that area. And then once you've located that area, you can place enhancements in the love area, which will actually enhance your life.
All right, tell everybody again, your website is inspiredeverydayliving.com, right?
Yes.
And that's where we can find your app or iTunes.
iTunes as well, yes.
And what's the app called again?
Feng Shui for Love with augmented reality.
And what is augmented reality?
That's the feature that I'm talking about. It's actually very, very cool.
Okay.
You hold up the phone and you look through the viewfinder,
And
and,
then
it helps you locate the different areas in your home, like the love area.
All right. Well, thank you, ladies. Fun having you both.
Thank you.
Coming up next Saturday, we're going to still have more fun as the Home Wizards continues on Saturday 2 to 4. By the way, hope you'll email me, cindy@cindydole.com. Let me know the things that you'd like to hear. But we're going to talk about light bulbs. Have you been changing out your light bulbs to those energy-saving LED? Why do they save energy? How much can you save? And in terms of green technology, How can you not look green yourself? That and more, as we also will talk with the plant doctor. She says that, a lot of women get flowers. She gets dead plants and insects and people saying, what happened? Home Wizards next Saturday, 2 to 4. Have a spectacular weekend. Check out the website, cindydole.com. And until next time, remember this, the key's under the mat. Bye-bye.
I'd say that was a pretty successful broadcast.